I never thought my own daughter's words would become my death sentence. Stay home. Nobody wants you there. She said it the same afternoon she threw my granddaughter a massive 20th birthday party somewhere across town. Music was playing and champagne was flowing. I didn't hear the songs. I only heard the ragged whistling sound of my own lungs failing. My name is Evelyn Caro. I was on my kitchen floor, folded in half, trying to pull air through a throat that felt like it had been fused shut. A cupcake box lay tipped over near the trash, mocking me with its sharp, bitter scent, burnt sugar, and betrayal. My fingers were useless, swollen logs, so I used my thumb to smear a desperate SOS onto the screen of my phone, 911. The door eventually flew open, heavy boots, the rip of Velcro and a rush of cold air that I couldn't even taste. As the paramedics hovered over me, the world began to blur into a haze of sterile white. But as they lifted me, a fragment of a conversation drifted through the fog, the lead paramedic whispering to his partner. He sounded confused, almost annoyed. He said my daughter had called the station earlier to warn them. She told them I was a lonely old woman who liked to exaggerate for attention. She asked them not to rush. That was the last thing I heard before the darkness took me. I didn't know then where those words would lead me, but as my heart stuttered, one thought remained. I wasn't done. A few weeks before the ambulance, I tried again. New Year's dinner. My idea. I called my daughter first. She sounded busy, but warm enough. "We'll be there," she told me. My son-in-law chimed in from somewhere off the phone. "Yeah, sounds good." My granddaughter texted a thumbs-up emoji. That was my confirmation. I cooked all day, stuff my husband used to like. Nothing fancy, just food that takes time and attention. By 7, everything was ready. By 8, everything was cold. My phone rang at 8:14. My daughter, no apology in her voice. Just logistics. "Mom, we're at his parents' place," she explained. "They already ordered food. We can't really cancel." I stood there holding the phone, staring at the table I set for 4. "So you're not coming," I replied. She sighed like I'd made this difficult. "Don't do that. Just eat without us." "Okay, eat without us." Like it was a favor. I didn't argue. I didn't remind her she promised. I didn't mention the soup still steaming. I just agreed. That's my bad habit, agreeing. After we hung up, I sat down alone, fork in hand, no prayer, no toast, just me and the sound of the clock clicking too loud. The food tasted fine. That almost made it worse. Halfway through, I laughed to myself. Quiet, a little ugly. You know that laugh you make when something finally makes sense? Yeah, that one. This wasn't new. It was just clearer than before. I packed the leftovers into containers, labeled them, stuck them in the fridge like they might come back for them. They didn't. That night, I didn't cry. I told myself I was being dramatic. That's what I'd learned to do. Shrink first. Make it easier for everyone else. Honestly, I thought that was me being strong. I went over on a Tuesday afternoon. No call ahead. That was my mistake. I wanted to see my granddaughter. I brought a vintage photography book I'd found she used to love those. My daughter opened the door halfway. Her smile didn't reach all the way up. She's busy with her college midterms. She told me, "You can wait a minute." I stood in the hallway like furniture, coat still on, shoes still tied. From the kitchen, my son-in-law laughed at something on his phone. Normal house sounds, too normal. They forgot about me. That happens when you stand still long enough. Their bedroom door wasn't fully closed, just enough space for voices to slip through. I wasn't trying to listen. I swear I wasn't. But some things land whether you want them to or not. My son-in-law's voice dropped. "Careful. Has she said anything about the will yet?" That was it. One sentence. No follow-up. No names, no rush to explain. My daughter answered too quietly for me to catch the words, but I heard the tone. Impatient like this was overdue. I looked down at my hands. The skin there is thin now, veins close to the surface. My husband used to joke that you could read my life through them. We built the mill together, brick by brick, long shifts, loud machines. It's been closed for years, sitting there like a memory no one wants to clean out. I never talked about inheritance, not once. I thought that kind of talk came later after illness, after warning signs, after consent. The door opened. My daughter stepped out and froze when she saw me. "Oh, you're still here." I nodded, lifted the book, just dropping this off. She took it like it weighed nothing. "We'll call you." She didn't mean it. We both knew. I walked out without seeing my granddaughter. I didn't announce myself. I didn't confront anyone. I just left. On the drive home, my hands shook on the steering wheel. Not from anger, from clarity. They weren't waiting for me to speak. They were waiting for me to weaken. The party showed up on my phone before it showed up in my life. Photos first, a rented tent, strings of lights, my granddaughter's name in gold letters, big enough to read from across the yard, turning 20. Everyone smiling like this was the only birthday that mattered. Mine was the same day. It always has been. No one texted, no call, not even the polite kind that comes with excuses. I checked my phone twice, then a third time. Like the screen might change its mind, it didn't. I ran into my daughter at the grocery store that morning. Pure accident. She had balloons in her cart, pink and white. "Oh," she muttered when she saw me. Not happy, not angry, just caught. "Big day," I commented, nodding at the balloons. She adjusted her grip on the cart. "Yeah, it's for her." "I know," I replied. My voice stayed even, took effort. She waited. Maybe for me to ask, maybe for me to remind her we share the date. I didn't give her either. "We're keeping it small," she added. Like that explained everything. I nodded again. "Sounds nice." That was the whole exchange. No invitation, no follow-up. She rolled her cart away and didn't look back. I stood there a moment longer than necessary. Then I finished my shopping, bought the same things I always buy. Bread, milk, nothing special. At home, I set my phone face down on the counter. Not in anger, just practicality. I already knew how the day would go. Some people stop inviting you out loud. Others just stop expecting you to exist. I learned which kind I was dealing with. The box showed up the afternoon before my birthday. No knock, just a thud outside my door. Pink cardboard, ribbon tied too neatly on top. A white sticker in clean print, nut-free. I stood there a second before picking it up. My name was written on the card inside. My daughter's handwriting, careful, rounded, like she wanted it to look calm. "Happy birthday, Mom. Thought you might like something sweet." That was it. No apology, no explanation, but the tone was different, softer, almost like reaching out. She knows about my allergy. She's known since she was a kid, knows how fast it hits, knows I carry an EpiPen, knows I forget to refill things now and then. We've argued about that more than once. I didn't open the box right away. I took my phone out first, took a picture of the label, the ribbon, the bakery name, habit, I guess. I've started doing that with deliveries ever since a neighbor claimed I stole her package by mistake. I set the box on the counter, didn't touch it, just looked at it while the kettle boiled. Part of me felt suspicious. That part has been getting louder lately. The other part, the tired part, wanted to believe this was her way back. A small gesture, a reset. She wouldn't do that, I muttered out loud. Saying it made it feel more solid, more reasonable. I folded the card and slid it back under the lid. Decided I'd wait until tomorrow, my birthday. Eat one, then make a moment out of it. That was the deal I made with myself. One cupcake, one quiet celebration. No drama. I didn't know yet that the label was the most careful lie in the room. I woke up to nothing. No buzz, no missed calls. My phone stayed quiet like it had made a decision. By noon, I knew better than to wait. I opened the box first, needing something sweet to dull the ache of being forgotten. I didn't check social media until later. In the hospital, I took a bite, and within seconds, my throat began to itch. The familiar, terrifying heat spread. I lunged for my purse, dug past receipts and old coins. Found the EpiPen case empty. I'd meant to refill it last month. I remembered thinking, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow didn't show up. My knees hit the floor hard. I crawled, knocked the chair over, grabbed my phone, dialed 911 with shaking hands. "I'm having an allergic reaction," I managed. "I can't breathe." The voice on the line stayed calm, asked for my address, told me help was coming, asked if anyone was with me. "No," I whispered. Later in the ambulance, oxygen heavy on my face, a paramedic leaned close. Younger guy, steady eyes. "I need to tell you something." He told me, "Lo, your daughter called us earlier." I blinked, tried to focus. "She told dispatch you sometimes exaggerate medical stuff." He continued, Asked us not to rush if you called. I didn't respond. I just stared at the ceiling and listened to the siren fade in and out. I understood then. This wasn't panic. This wasn't a mistake. They didn't think I would die. They just didn't care if I did. I woke up steadier than I expected. Throat raw, head buzzing. A man stood at the foot of the bed, the same paramedic from the ambulance. Name patch read Daniel. He held the pink box like it was evidence, not dessert. "You mind if I look at this?" he asked. "Go ahead," I told him. My voice still scraped. He turned the box over, slow-picked at the corner of the label with a gloved finger. It lifted easier than it should have. The white sticker curled back, exposing another one underneath. Different font, different logo. Daniel didn't react. "That scared me more than if he had this place," he murmured, reading the lower label. "They bake with almond flour. That's their thing." I closed my eyes, not to be dramatic, just to keep my breathing even. "So the top label I offered, that's not theirs." "No," he replied. "It's placed on purpose." He glanced at me then. Not pity, assessment, like he was recalculating a story he'd already heard. "You didn't swap this yourself," he added. "Not a question." "I don't even own a printer," I muttered. He nodded, slid the label back where it was, careful to line it up exactly, put the box into a clear bag, and sealed it. The plastic crackled loud in the quiet room. "I've called the local precinct," Daniel said. "The police will want to see this box. It's not just a medical error anymore." I watched his hands, steady, certain. For the first time since the party, someone was taking control of the room who wasn't related to me. "Who can verify it?" I asked. Daniel met my eyes. "I know someone." He left with the box. I lay back and stared at the ceiling, heart still thumping too hard. The lie wasn't just in what my daughter told dispatch. It was stuck on with a label that never belonged there. The detective from the local precinct visited me the next morning. He wasn't alone. He brought a younger man with a laptop tucked under his arm, whom he introduced as Marcus, a digital forensics specialist. They didn't talk about feelings. They talked about data. "I can't restore everything," Marcus warned, setting his laptop on my tray table. "Your daughter is thorough. She deleted the primary message threads 3 days ago." My daughter always liked to tidy up after herself. She thought a clean screen meant a clean conscience. Marcus tapped a key and a series of recovered fragments appeared. I leaned forward, my breath hitching in my raw throat. "She forgets to refill the pen. Won't be that bad. Just enough to keep her away. I'll call dispatch first. If they think she's exaggerating, they won't rush." My stomach dropped, slow and heavy. It wasn't a mistake. It was a strategy. They framed the narrative before the first wee detective set his voice flat. By calling dispatch to warn them about your history of exaggeration, they ensured the paramedics wouldn't treat this as a high-priority life threat. It's a classic move to delay emergency response. "So they didn't want me dead," I whispered. "They were comfortable with the risk," Marcus replied, scrolling further. "But here is the physical proof. We found a deleted file on your son-in-law's cloud storage, a high-resolution template for a nut-free bakery label created 2 hours before the box was delivered to your door." I closed my eyes. They hadn't just bought a cupcake. They had manufactured a lie. "They also assumed you wouldn't dig into this," the detective added. They relied on the idea that an elderly mother would either be too confused to remember or too heartbroken to prosecute. I looked at the screen at the cold blue light of the evidence. I didn't feel the urge to cry. I felt a strange metallic coldness settling in my chest. "They've been underestimating me my whole life," I said. Marcus closed the laptop with a definitive click. The digital trail is sufficient. Between the sticker template and the recovered texts, the intent to cause harm is clear. This is no longer a family dispute. It's a criminal matter. I nodded. My chest felt tight, but not from allergies this time. They thought I wouldn't understand the technology. I told them. They thought I was a relic of the past they could just archive and delete. Outside my room, the hospital continued its rhythmic, indifferent hustle. But inside this room, the power had finally shifted. They gathered in the hospital conference room like this was a formality. My daughter arrived first, perfect posture, phone already in hand. My son-in-law followed, jaw tight. My granddaughter came last, eyes flicking between us like she was counting exits. No one hugged me. A man I barely recognized stood up when everyone settled. Gray suit, calm voice. He introduced himself as my late husband's attorney. I hadn't seen him in years, not since the mill paperwork. I was asked to be here, he began, because certain assumptions have been made. My daughter leaned back, confident like this meeting belonged to her. The attorney opened a folder, thick yellowed edges. This document was drafted 8 years ago, amended twice, finalized with witnesses. He slid copies across the table. The house, the savings, the textile mill, all remain under Evelyn's sole control. My daughter laughed once. Short. That can't be right. The attorney didn't look at her. It is. He took out a second page, handwritten. My husband's handwriting slanted, familiar. He included a letter. The attorney continued, explaining his reasoning. My daughter interrupted. This is unnecessary. It was his instruction. The attorney replied, still calm, he feared pressure, manipulation, especially if Evelyn became ill or isolated. The room shifted. Chairs creaked. My son-in-law went very still. I slid the clear folder across the table. Photos, labels, timestamps. Marcus had organized it clean. Daniel stood near the door, arms crossed. These are messages, I offered. That was all. My daughter flipped through them too fast. This proves nothing. Her voice cracked on the last word. My granddaughter didn't speak. She stared at the screen of my phone where the cupcake label peeled back. Her face changed. Not anger, not defense, just shock. I didn't know, she whispered. Not to me, to the room. The attorney closed his folder. This meeting is documented. Silence followed. Thick, heavy for once. I didn't explain myself, didn't soften anything. The truth had weight on its own. It didn't need my help. My daughter stood up abruptly, knocked her chair back. My son-in-law followed without looking at anyone. My granddaughter stayed seated, eyes fixed on the table. I watched them leave. No relief, no victory. Just a strange calm settling in. Some stories fall apart the moment they're spoken out loud. The charges moved faster than I expected. Paperwork, interviews, quiet phone calls that didn't ask how I was, just what I remembered. My daughter stopped calling altogether once a lawyer stepped in. My son-in-law tried once, left a voicemail about misunderstandings and stress. I didn't respond. Silence is a boundary too. I blocked the rest. Not out of anger, out of clarity. A week later, I drove out to the cemetery. Same road I've taken for years. I brought a cake I made myself. Plain. The one he always liked. Too much butter, not enough patience while it cooled. I messed it up a little. He would have laughed. I set it down by the stone, lit a candle. The flames shook in the wind, then steadied. I'm still here, I told him. They tried to talk over me. Didn't work. No big speech, no tears. Just the truth between us. I stayed a while, long enough for the candle to burn low. On the way back, my phone buzzed. A message from my granddaughter. Just 3 words. I didn't know. I wrote back one line. I believe you. That was all I had in me. Here's the part I didn't learn in books or therapy or any of that. Family doesn't get unlimited access to you just because they share blood. Love without respect turns into permission. Permission to ignore. Permission to harm. Saying no doesn't make you cruel. It makes you alive. If you're still here with me, hit like. Leave a comment if any part of this felt familiar. Subscribe if you want more stories that don't pretend everything ties up clean. I drove home alone. That used to scare me. Now it feels honest. I put the leftover cake in the fridge, labeled it. Tomorrow I'll eat a slice.